Hey, welcome to Weekly Wrap Up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
We,
Yeah, good to
we
be
have
back.
Josh back this week from his man flu, so that's why we didn't have a weekly
It
wrap up
was
last
more
week.
than
Josh had
man
man
flu.
flu.
Thank you very much. It was serious.
It was, yes, so serious.
It was. And I apologize
Yeah,
to
so he
everyone who
was
tried to tune in last week. But yes,
out of action for 5 days, where if it was a woman having that flu, she would have kept going.
it wasn't just a flu. I beg to differ. So, yeah, apologies, everyone. However, we are here this week, a little bit
We
later.
are.
Lisa,
And
you are.
I do apologize for being late because, well, I've just got off a 24-hour flight from London to Melbourne via Perth. So I've had 2 hours sleep. So anything I say tonight, please take it with a grain of salt because it may not be correct. Only joking.
Yeah, no, but also anything ever anyway, because
Yeah, well,
we
that's true. So,
get to invent the glass crystal ball, are we?
yeah. So always trade with a stop loss. I do. So if you want to be like Lisa, you have a stop loss. You have sell orders. You let it in and you let it out. So that's how you be like Lisa. And I don't usually margin trade. So there we go.
Excellent. Well, we are live, obviously, to the world, to X and YouTube, as well as GSIC. Sean is in YouTube saying smash the likes, not for
Yeah,
the
make
man.
sure you're smashing them. Smash on Twitter or X, and on YouTube. So make sure you're smashing them. Make sure you're leaving me a comment. Make sure you just in general, just like me.
Yeah, well, yeah. And in the meantime, for our GSIC members, you can jump in and talk and leave questions and chart requests, and we'll get to those for an exclusive section at the end. But before we do that, Lise, do you want to do what you do best?
Yeah, so let's jump straight into Bitcoin. So this is a bit exciting. So this chart, because we didn't have a wrap up, I put this chart up on Twitter. So there was a disclaimer that if you have been following my Twitter updates, the 30,662, we've done that today. So while I've been flying, Bitcoin has broken through that region. So what that means is our next technical pivot is the local high here. So that is 31,875. So a break above that is going to take us to 34. So if we break above that 31,875, not breaking 31,875 will take us down. So I'm going to draw a new squiggle. So this is likely to go and head to this region here. So up to retest here. And then possibly, if it doesn't break through, we are looking at probably a bit of a squiggle down to this cross support. So there's a cross support here, which cross supports, if you follow me for quite some time, they usually get tested at some point. So we can see that in this region, this came down to a cross support. So you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, fourth touch, and it took off. So what happens is usually we get 2 to 3 retests of any support or resistance, and then it either breaks through or breaks down. So that's the key sort of wave that's going to sort of break through. Sometimes it's quicker than that, depending on how bullish it is, but usually in a bear market, it is 3 retests on the fourth. It either breaks through or it breaks down. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So if this does break below there, our next range, we've got 2 ranges here, 24,757 and then 22,528. So those areas probably need to be retested at some point, maybe not yet. So when we go to the BLX chart, which is my quantitative chart, so you guys would all know this if you're following me for a while. So this works in with the US government's quantitative tightening and easing that goes with interest rates and basically the economy. So now, because interest rates and everything haven't risen in this past month, it's kind of like a period of easing. So that means that there's more money flow into the market and Bitcoin can pump. a little bit. So when we have a look at this chart, we've got a strong resistance coming up. So this is our 2018 high, or 2017 high, sorry. The break here where we broke through in 21. We retested this again when it came back down in May 21. Another retest in June, and then that third retest fourth retest came back down, and we are going up the other way to retest that resistance. So that resistance is 35K. So when we look at when we do a wave projection with Fibonacci and Elliott wave, we are looking at this region 34K. So sometimes, depending if it gets a little bit of FOMO, a little bit of bullishness, it's going to break through 35K. So don't have tight sort of shorts in that region. Have a larger, a lower margin with a higher sort of stop loss region, because that could just smash straight through and then you'd lose all your money. So with this as well, so we want to have a look. This is the daily. We're getting quite high on the RSI, although there's still really good volume, which makes me think we're going to come up and retest that 31,875. So just due to this volume hasn't eased as yet. It's still there. It's still good. The RSI still doesn't have bearish divergence on it yet. It's still sitting up in that level. It can sit high on the daily when it's quite bullish for, weeks on end up to a month. The stock, though, does look like it's going to have a minor pullback soon. When we expand that, we are just coming down and sort of touching. So that might mean a minor pullback. It could be the larger pullback. So we kind of know when we go on these retraces, but I still think we're going to see this level up here retested before we do go down. So that's sort of what we're seeing. It does look like we are easing here, but if we do get an explosive third wave coming through, which is highly likely, it can be, if we're extremely bullish, we get a truncated wave, and that will just blow through this region. So I wouldn't be shorting here. So that's just my personal opinion, because I'm still seeing a lot of volume coming in. I'm seeing a lot of Bitcoin getting taken off exchanges and bought up, and I'm seeing a lot of OTC deals going through. So that to me means this is bullish momentum happening. We can see the alts. Obviously, with wave patterns, the second wave pulls back when it's bullish, and the fourth wave pulls back. And then after the fifth wave, we get a larger pullback. So are we there yet? Not quite. So yeah, just another couple of days. I think within this week, we've got a whole heap of futures releasing on the 28th. So that's just 5 days away. That might push it through to that 34. So depending on how many futures they've got, we do have quarterlies and some 6 monthlies that were bought in that region. So going back to where that momentum was, they would have been shorts, and when they enter the market, they buy long. So if they're closing their shorts because it's getting a bit tight, then that's going to pump this up again as well, because that is exactly what's been happening. So yeah, so that's what we're looking at for BTC. And I'm just going to show you on the US dollar dominance chart. So this is the USDT dominance. We can see that we've been trading in a channel. We're coming down to this region. So potentially it could have one more wave. So, in this region, it can hold here, maybe pierce down a little bit. That will give Bitcoin that wave up to that 31,875. And then we might, if we get that pullback, that means that this US dollar dominance chart is going to increase in dominance up to this region before it has a larger pullback. And that's where we're going to get Bitcoin going to 34 and possibly 41, depending on which pattern takes place. So it's looking good at the moment.
Excellent. And it's certainly looking good in the group as well. It's been a good week. Lots of targets, 3s and 4s getting hit, which is nice to see after such a long time. I know it's common play in the bull market, but yeah, lots of target 3s and 4s, plenty of 1s and 2s as well.
Yeah, so I've got a comment in there, not yet, Lisa, I need another 4 weeks. It's like, well, the market's not going to wait for you. It's like the market waits for no one. So that's why at GSIC we've been building our bags, our bear to bull bags, since November last year. So we started building those when we got that really big dip into, the FTX stuff. You always buy the fear. So if that's happening, you buy it. It's like when it starts to build some support, start buying, because that's when you're going to have the greatest value. So it's the lowest price, and it can only go up. So it's like in 2020, oil went to negative prices, and I don't know why you wouldn't buy that. It's like, oh no, it's just dead. It's like, no, people still need oil and that sort of stuff. So people are still going to buy Bitcoin even when it drops, and especially your BlackRocks and that sort of Michael Saylors and all of that sort of thing. They're going to be buying at the moment every dip, because they know this next bull run is going to be huge, because it's probably the last one before a lot of regulations come in. So we're seeing regulations gradually come in, but this next bull run is really going to be the test for major regulations to come in. So get in.
Absolutely. Mika as well in YouTube says, well done, Lisa and CryptoPlots. You guys are doing really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's nice to see. And it definitely really feels like that part of the market where that buzz is there somewhere. It's tangible, that bull market buzz. And I've seen a definite increase in activity on Twitter.
Yeah, so we're looking at halving about sort of late April, early May next year. So we should see another pullback, maybe sort of between March and early April at this point, depending on if halving continues to be at that point. So yeah, it's looking good. So this is the run. This is our wave one up. So this is essentially the 2019 run up that we saw to about 13K. Then we saw that dip again to about 4K, and then up to 66 and then 69. So because this hasn't sort of really dipped that low, it's gone to about 18. That next bull run up, if it keeps at this momentum, should see, almost 100K. And I would think this bull run's going to break 100K on Bitcoin. I think this is going to be huge.
Absolutely. And how many people are you also seeing on X? I know you from time to time see how many of the big profiles and influencers and actually more importantly the people who know their stuff, the traders, tend to be agreeing with you. Are there still some out there who are saying no, it's not here yet? Or what's your
no, there's a few that are still waiting for 20K. So I've seen those. So there's a few more of those. And of course, Il Capo, I think he's still waiting for 10K. So I don't think we're seeing 10K. I've said that the whole time. Stranger things have happened, and it could, but the way the 4-year cycle works, and it has worked every single time, I don't think it's we're seeing that. So when we, I'm just going to bring up a chart, because this is one that I showed you the previous time. So this is the weekly, and we can see on the MACD we've had a bullish cross. It's flipped green. That means we've got more buyers in the market. So this region here on this channel, it comes up to that 34, 35K mark. So it's kind of like a lot of confluence is meeting at this point. Weekly is still showing bearish divergence. That just means that we haven't completed correction, that this may turn around at 34, 34 to 41, depending on pattern. So if we do break that 34, 35 mark, potentially there is 41 in this run, but I'd be happy with 34 because that's still a very bullish pattern. And then we're going to come back to about 20K. So that's when, traders like Crypto Tony, I think has said, I don't know, I haven't looked at his tweets in the last week, so don't quote me on this, but he was saying that he was waiting for 20K. So that is the pattern that potentially does take us to 20K, but I think that's a little bit away. I think that is, 20K is next year. I think we're going up now and then coming back for 20K before the end of, before halving happens. And that's our final dip. So because when we go back to 2017, so I'll bring up this chart. We had 2017, that was our high. We came back and we had that 3,200 low. We then went up and we got that 14,000 high, coming back up down for a COVID, which was about 4,000, 5,000 retrace. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So that's what we want to see. So we want to see this get to 34.41, hold this low. So this low went down to these regions here, which was about 16. So we want to see 16 hold. So potentially if we're looking between those percentages, 20K should hold. So, or at least, you know, higher than 16. So we could wick down on several exchanges depending on what their liquidity is like. But yeah, that's kind of the, you know, the market dynamics. We've still got a super cycle parabola happening. So that hasn't been broken yet. That's a purple line. So it's still coming up. It's been retested. It will likely get retested again. So that retest region is around 21,500, and that can wick down because the support region here is at 20,000. So I think that's support holds. I think that's going to be our new long-term support. And then we'll go into the bull run.
Just a comment on that from Crypto Aussie. If we come back to 20K after hitting 34 or 41, isn't that going to break the higher lows?
No, not overall. So not in the whole pattern. So I don't think it's coming back now to that region. There is a cross support here, but I think, you know, if we look at timing on this chart, that's March. So this is a monthly chart. So this is a long-term chart. So we can see that we've got the red stars are 34, 35, and then around 41 to 45. They're sort of our, you know, resistance, strong resistance regions that we're seeing in this area. And yeah, I think we're definitely going to see this run before we get that pullback. 20,000 next year in March doesn't break that higher lows. So it won't break this pattern here. So this is so if you have a look at the two lines here, so the timing for this within the super cycle and this 4-year Bitcoin cycle is between March to sort of May-ish. And halving at the moment is end of April. That can sort of move a little bit. So I'd say we're looking at this low. The next low may not get to 20K. That's the lowest I'm seeing without it breaking that parabola. So we don't want that to happen. We want that to hold because that's our super cycle. And basically that can take Bitcoin right up over 100K this next run.
Okay, cool. Just on Amika said before that, is the bull run going to happen this year, or are we just putting our mind to it happening next year? And I think you might have probably answered that already.
Yeah, so halving's 2024. So essentially, this is the first wave of the bull run, I think. I think we've finished our correction. This is the first wave of the bull run, and, you know, that will take us to those highs. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Also, Austin
Sorry.
is wondering if you got, I assume, a BSV update. I know you've been watching it closely.
Yeah, so hang on, I'm just dying. BSV. So I've got a couple of charts on this. So this is the chart that I've put up on Twitter. So I think potentially, you know, after this pullback, BSV should continue running. The reason being, we've got the COPA trial next year. So, you know, I think they want this to be a strong coin up until then. You know, it is showing that it has some sell pressure. Of course it does. We're at the top of the cup. We need to build the handle. So that's going to happen. Potentially a handle comes back to about 50% or 0.5. So that is about 42, 43. Can go higher. It has been quite bullish. So this wave 1 as well here is at that 0.5. So that's normally just retested. So it might come down and wick down. It seems to have quite strong support at the moment. So the only thing that is worrying is on the daily, the RSI and the stock, they do need to correct, but we need to build this handle. So once that's built, then it's going to go, it's essentially going to, you know, go up to about 86, probably higher. You never know, it could retest that 99 mark. So that's a fib level as well, depending on how bullish it is. But yeah, so I've not sold BSV. I'm adding to my bags on this one because I do think we're going to see, you know, some strong momentum go into that trial. And by the way, I don't talk to my brother, so this is not anything to do with him. This is just pure pattern. So judging by pattern, that's what I'm seeing. Judging by momentum at the moment, it's following that. So this is a pattern that I've put up over a month ago on X and has played out. So it's been good.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else you wanted to share with the world before we do some?
No, we've got a whole heap of charts to look at in GSIC though. So if you guys want to join, there's, I believe, Naughty Crypto Plots has put up a special while I was on the plane. And yeah, so jump into that. I think it's $45 or $49. I don't even know how much it was.
So I took advantage of you not having any Wi-Fi, and you can sign up instead of $69 a month, it's now $49 a month for the first 3 months, which is not something we've done before. So if you aren't in GSIC, there's a very good offer on the table for you, and we'd love to have you there. So yeah, go to my X at CryptoPlots. You'll find the code, and
I've retweeted it as well now, so you'll find that there as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So and you will get daily updates, and you can request charts at any time in there, and myself and GSIC Signals will do those for you,
amongst a whole host of other cool little features inside. So yeah, great to see you in the site if you join up. If not, we will see you again soon. So we're going to say goodbye to YouTube.
And that was not bad for 2 hours.